Galyna Saltkovska has been through a lot on seasons 1 and 2 of the McBee Dynasty, Real American Cowboys. The McBee Farm and Cattle Co. CFO has watched her relationship with Stephen McBee Sr. turn from being romantic to strictly business, in addition to watching the farm struggle financially. And although so much has happened so far on season 2 of the McBee Dynasty, there are a lot more exciting things to come, according to Galyna. The CFO caught up with the Daily Dish at DirecTV's Plot Twist, featuring Bravo event in New York City on August 12, where she teased a shocking moment yet to be seen by viewers. "Stay tuned," she said. "You're in for a big surprise." During the event, Galyna also shared a major update on the financial status of the McBee farm, which has been in debt, and how she's aligned with Stephen McBee Jr. on getting the farm back on track financially. "I'm super good with finances. Like, there's a lot always going on about finances in my head," she shared. "And Stephen and I are a lot on the same page about that," she continued. "We always have been." Galyna Saltkovska reveals how she's changed since filming the McBee Dynasty, Real American Cowboys. Galyna spoke with Briefing on Bravo earlier in the month, where she revealed that she has grown so much since appearing on the McBee Dynasty Season 1. "I am an introvert through most of my life," she admitted. "I'm a trained extrovert, so showcasing all of that has been extremely difficult, but is also getting me out of my comfort zone," she added. "So it's been a crazy growth experience for me that I'm super grateful for." Galyna Saltkovska reflects on her controversial The McBee Dynasty moments. Galyna continued, telling the publication that she has taken full ownership for all of her actions on the McBee Dynasty Seasons 1 and 2. "I am all my things," she explained. "I know that I went way overboard, but a lot of people don't know my entire background and why I did things I did. Not always entirely proud of everything I did, but that was my emotion in the moment, based on my previous experience, based on everything that was going on, based on so many things that a lot of people might not know," she added. How Galyna Saltkovska reacted to reuniting with Stephen McBee Sr. Galyna's ex, Stephen Sr., made his big return to the farm during the McBee Dynasty, Real American Cowboys Season 2, Episode 7. But Galyna wasn't fazed by seeing him at Jesse McBee's birthday celebration. "It's really good to see Steve," Galyna said during a confessional in the episode. "It's been a while, and it feels extremely good to just be joking, laughing. I am moving on. My goal for the day is celebrating Jesse and not for anything to upset the day." The late afternoon sun cast long, thin shadows across the vast, rolling pastures of the McBee Farm and Cattle Co. Galyna Saltkovska stood on the porch, a cup of coffee growing cold in her hands, watching the amber light turn the dust motes into shimmering gold. The sounds of the farm, the lowing of cattle, the distant rumble of a tractor, the sharp clang of metal on metal, were a constant symphony, a rhythm she had learned to live and breathe, but never quite to love. She was the CFO, a woman of spreadsheets and projections in a world of calloused hands and stubborn earth. Her mind was a fortress of numbers, a place where she felt safe and in control. But lately, the numbers told a story she hated, a story of red ink and dwindling futures, of a family legacy teetering on the brink. The weight of it was a physical ache in her chest. She had come here for a different kind of story, a story with Stephen Sr., full of romance and possibility. That tale had ended abruptly, leaving behind a cold, professional landscape. She owned that. She had given herself to a moment, to an emotion, and had acted in ways she wasn't always proud of. But in the quiet hours, she knew she had done what she had to do to survive. The woman who had arrived on the farm was an introvert, a soul who had painstakingly trained herself to appear extroverted, to navigate the complexities of a world that demanded an outward-facing persona. This farm, this life, had been the crucible where that training was put to the ultimate test. A figure emerged from the main barn, wiping grease from his hands with a rag. Stephen Jr., he was the next generation, a man with the same stubborn determination as his father, but with a keen, pragmatic mind that she admired. He saw the numbers the same way she did. They spoke the same language, the language of profit and loss, of debt and salvation. "Coffee?" she called out, though she knew he wouldn't take her up on it. He preferred iced tea, a habit she found endearing in its simplicity. He grinned, his boots crunching on the gravel. "Nah, I'm good. Just got the new baler motor humming. We're going to be a lot more efficient this year, thanks to your budget." The words were a balm, a rare moment of validation. Galyna allowed a small, genuine smile to break through her composed facade. "It's a good start, but you and I both know it's a drop in the bucket. We have to be more aggressive, Stephen." He leaned against a fence post, looking out at the herd. "I know, I've been running the numbers on that new feed silo, but it's a huge investment. We'd be leveraged to the hilt. It's a risk we have to take. You can't make money without spending it," she said, the CFO in her taking over. "The old ways won't cut it anymore. We need to be innovative." The conversation drifted into familiar territory, a dance of figures and projections, a shared burden that had forged an unspoken alliance between them. She and Stephen Jr. had a symbiotic relationship. He was the boots on the ground, the heart of the operation. She was the brain, the strategy, the cold logic. It was a partnership born of necessity, but one that had grown into a true meeting of minds. Later that evening, in the quiet of her cabin, Galyna thought about Stephen Sr. He had returned to the farm for Jess's birthday, a ghost from her past. Seeing him had been strangely uncomplicated. The raw emotion was gone, replaced by a calm acceptance. It was a testament to her own growth. She realized she had moved on. The person who had been so consumed by that relationship no longer existed. The new Galyna was a woman who could joke and laugh with a past lover, secure in the knowledge that her own identity was no longer tied to him. She pulled out her laptop, the screen a stark contrast to the rustic interior of the cabin. She had been working on something in secret, a project so ambitious it made the new feed silo look like a trip to the corner store. She was proposing a new business line, a high-end, subscription-based service delivering premium, farm-to-table meat directly to urban consumers. It was a complete pivot from their current model, a leap of faith into a new market. It required a massive investment, a complete restructuring of their supply chain, and a marketing campaign they could barely afford. This was the big surprise she had been teasing. Not a personal scandal, not a romantic twist, but a business Hail Mary. The plan was flawless on paper. She had calculated every variable, from logistics to market trends. But the emotional toll of presenting it to the McBee family, of asking them to risk their entire legacy on her vision, was immense. This was the moment where her trained extrovert would have to go from performing to truly leading. The next day, she called a family meeting in the office, a room filled with mounted animal heads and framed certificates. Stephen Sr. was there, his presence a silent challenge. Stephen Jr. stood by her, a quiet source of support. The rest of the family, Jesse, Mark, and their father, McBee Sr., sat around the table, their faces a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. Galyna took a deep breath, her heart thumping against her ribs like a trapped bird. She clicked to the first slide of her presentation, the polished logo of her proposed company, McBee Harvest, glowing on the screen. "I know we've been talking about investments in infrastructure," she began, her voice steady despite her nerves. "But I don't think that's enough. We're in a vicious cycle of low margins and high debt. We need a fundamental shift in our business model." She laid out the plan, her voice gaining confidence with each slide. She spoke of bypassing the wholesalers, of controlling their own brand, of connecting directly with consumers who were willing to pay a premium for quality and authenticity. She presented the financial projections, showing them the path to not just solvency, but to real, sustainable growth. Stephen Sr. was the first to speak, his voice a low rumble. "Galyna, this is A lot. We're cowboys. We sell to the market. We don't do marketing campaigns and subscription boxes. We have to evolve. Steve, she said, meeting his gaze. The world has changed. The old ways won't save us. This will. He looked at her, and she saw a flicker of the man she used to know, the man who had been a source of both love and pain. But now she saw him not as a former lover, but as a business partner, and her emotion was one of respect. Stephen Jr. stepped in. She's right, Dad. This is our best shot. The numbers don't lie. Galyna's done the work. The rest of the family weighed in. There was hesitation, fear, and a fierce protectiveness of their tradition. But Galyna answered every question, addressing every doubt, her knowledge and passion undeniable. She wasn't just a CFO, she was a visionary. She had been through hell on this farm, had faced the end of a relationship and the weight of a dying business, and she had come out stronger. This plan was her redemption, a chance to not just save the farm, but to prove to herself that every difficult moment had been worth it.